9 yards, how to find free fonts. Jesus. You are either here because you are also becoming a front-end developer like I am, or you're a glutton for punishment. And so you've decided you're going to learn CSS just for the fun of it. I mean, maybe you are. If you are, kudos. That's awesome. If this is your first time on my channel, this entire series is about me becoming a front-end developer. I'm Becky Alter. It's good to see you guys. So today I want to talk to you about week 3 of my training, and this has been all about learning CSS. In the last 30 hours, holy cow, I learned so much stuff in 30 hours. It's been nuts. So the way this particular video is going to be set up, I'm going to tell you the things that I learned, just sort of a brief overview of what I learned in CSS, particularly in the last week. And then I'm going to talk to you about some of the biggest challenges I faced, which I haven't done yet in this video series. I'm just going to say, holy shit, there are some major challenges that I experienced with CSS, and it was a really interesting case study in my own personality, as well as really just being able to find solutions on my own. And I'm really discovering that that's a lot what web development is about. So that was actually kind of cool, an introduction into the real world, so to speak. The third and final thing that I'm going to talk with you guys about are my wins for the week, my big takeaways, and I had some major wins, and I can't wait to share those with you. Okay, so what I learned in the past 32 hours, let's see, let me check, 30 hours. If you can't tell, I haven't slept very much this week. So this week in CSS, I learned how to find and link web fonts. That is a whole thing. Definitely take your time on that. And something I have neglected to say, I just realized in past videos, before you get into CSS, buy yourself a notebook, grab some pens, and take notes of every single thing that you learn, because I swear to you, you will go back and reference them, and you will be very upset with yourself if you don't have those things written down. Then I also learned display and positioning elements. It's kind of self-explanatory. You learn how to display certain elements, and you learn how to position them on the page the right way. Very, very confusing, tedious, but once I got it, was breakthrough moment after breakthrough moment. Then I learned about the box model. This is pretty standard in any code camp you go to, boot camp you go to. If you're learning on your own, definitely learn the box model. You will need it and want it for your life with CSS. And then the last thing that I accomplished of the week was the CSS challenge, which was to create my own cheat sheet. But I'll dig into that a little bit later. Okay, so now I want to talk to you guys about the biggest challenges that I faced. So I have now been studying the art of web development for about a month. And of course, that doesn't take into account a couple of weeks of research and dabbling here and there with HTML and CSS. This is like hardcore 4 weeks, almost full-time. It's been an amazing experience, definitely one I wouldn't trade, and I am still so gung-ho. I still wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning excited to do it. But in this particular week, I had some really holy cow big challenges, and I want to share those with you so that you can maybe be prepared for them. I do want to tell you, in last week's video, I might have lied a little bit unintentionally. I said that CSS was easier for me than HTML. That was a big fat lie, and I'm very sorry. I hate to lie to people, but I want to tell you that CSS proved to be a whole different beast. It's much more involved. It's much more detail-oriented than anything I experienced in HTML, and in fact, really, to get your brain around CSS completely, you're also expanding on HTML. So that's probably why it seems like a bigger beast than HTML itself. The other really big challenge that I had, it was a huge hurdle. Many of you know, if you've seen my other videos, that I am learning how to become a front-end engineer through Codecademy. So it's codecademy.com, and I'm on their pro career path for front-end engineering. And it's been amazing up until about 4 days ago. I was in the middle of one of the modules, and then all of a sudden it started asking me these really out there questions that I had no idea how to answer. I mean, none. And then it said, if you aren't sure, reference this and reference that and read about this. And so I spent about 6 hours doing that. And I thought to myself, something is off. Like, something has got to be completely off. And so I kind of dug around in Codecademy, and then I watched a couple videos on YouTube, and I discovered that a lot of people said that it's best to do the Learn HTML and Learn CSS in Codecademy in conjunction with the Pro Career Path, because it goes in much, much deeper. And I'm glad that I remembered that, even though I spent 6 hours doing all of this extraneous reading on my own. What I ended up doing was kind of backing out of the Pro Career Path, and I went ahead and picked up the Learn CSS free course on Codecademy. And what was cool was they overlapped. So anything I did in the free course, I got credit for it in the pro course. So they do work in tandem. It just would have been nice when I started the program if they had let me know, hey, if you want a deeper dive into CSS, then take the Learn CSS course. That would have been fabulous. So in any case, that was a huge hurdle, huge challenge. So I just want to let you all know, if you do decide to do the pro career path that I've been suggesting you do, stop where you are. As you're getting into CSS, jump over to the free Learn to CSS course. If you just find it, it'll pop up and it'll show up in your main menu. You can click on that and take that free course, and oh man, just please hear me when I say this. You will thank me in the end that you did that, because there's a lot of information in there that you're going to want and need, and they do not cover it in depth on the pro path. Okay, so my other challenge, my last challenge of the week, was just really trying to find the balance between being completely impassioned and excited and sleeping. I know that maybe sounds weird, but at least for me, I just get so excited and I want to meet the challenges. And so I really am just spending every waking moment when I can, when I'm not working on my business or sleeping or eating, I'm doing coding. And I'm finding that I'm letting myself kind of get worn out. And so that's probably not a good thing. The biggest takeaway that I had of this, or the biggest red flag that I had, was in doing this final CSS challenge, which was to create my own cheat sheet. And so I set something up on my GitHub desktop app, as well as in VS Code. I got everything connected. And it took me a really long time to figure out how to get the index HTML file on there and the style CSS, the style sheet on there. And I finally had it, and they were both blank. And then I'm sort of staring at the screen and the cursor's blinking, and I'm like, what in the hell am I supposed to type into these forms? I don't know what was going on there. I mean, I've been studying nonstop, and then I pull up a blank HTML sheet, and it's like I have never done HTML ever before. So that was kind of weird. I had to sort of stand up and stretch a little bit, breathe, and do the bang at the beginning of the HTML file, and then the thing started automatically populating, and then I was like, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is just put an H1 on the screen and just start from there. And so once I got my first heading up, I was like, okay, I can do this. Now I'll add this and I'll add that. And then I was able to start layering. So my biggest takeaway, and that is number one, get some rest. Number two, get up and stretch. And number three, take some breaks. And number four, just start. You know, sometimes you have like a brain fart or whatever, and you need to take a second, take a beat. But once you get one idea, just start with something simple. Start with a header, for God's sake. And once you get that, then the next idea will come and the next idea. Now, of course, before you really build out a whole entire website, you've got a game plan. But I'm talking about when you're just doing these challenges and you have a rough idea of what you're going to do, just start with something simple and get going. Okay, the last section. What were my biggest wins this week? Oh my God, it was such a great week. Okay, so number one, you guys already know I did my CSS challenge, which was to create a cheat sheet. This was my very first solo project. So no solutions available. I had to do everything from scratch. And it actually turned out really awesome. I'm so proud of myself. And so, you know, big pat on the back there. So that was a huge win, but the biggest win of all, you guys, I did it. I am done with CSS. I completed the Learn CSS course and I have my certification. It's on my LinkedIn page as we speak. And so I'm just really stoked. And I want you to know, as tired as I am, obviously I haven't even showered in like 2 or 3 days because all I've been doing is coding. And, but I have not lost that love and feeling. Seriously, I love it. And I'm so excited now to take my skills and practice. That should be your biggest takeaway today. Definitely practice your tail off. So I'll be doing that. And then I'm going to jump into web design and JavaScript. So those are my next steps. Guys, that's it for me this week. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me, being on this journey together. And I'd love to know if any of you are also considering or are on the front end web development, front end engineer path. If you are, please make a comment. Tell me some of your struggles maybe that you've had, or if you've had any aha moments, please share those with us. All right, guys, that's it for this week. I will have more for you next week. In the meantime, take care. Thanks so much.